President Donald Trump has announced he will host New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani at the White House tomorrow, Friday, November 21st, for their first in-person meeting. The sit-down will take place in the Oval Office and was requested by Mamdani's team as part of the normal transition process for an incoming mayor of the nation's largest city. Both sides say the agenda will be focusing on public safety, economic security, and the high cost of living in New York City, with over 1 million voters having backed Mamdani and his affordability platform in the recent election. Now, this meeting comes after months of sharp attacks between the two, where during the mayor race, Trump backed Mamdani's opponent, or many of his opponents. He had many, and it turned out to end up being former Governor Andrew Cuomo in the last batch because he repeatedly called Mamdani a, quote, communist. He is not. On social media, even though threatens of withholding billions of dollars in federal funding to New York City if he won because he's a communist, which he's not. Trump also suggested that he might deport Mamdani, who was born in Uganda, became a naturalized citizen in the U.S. Later in life, trying to use his criticism of administration and some of the United States policies as hardline immigration agenda, or something to that effect. Mamdani, in turn, used his campaign to attack Trump's policies in immigration and U.S. support for Israel during the Gaza war, framing himself as a symbol of resistance to the president. Now, the 30-year-old mayor-elect is a Democratic socialist. That's what he's categorized as, and will be New York City's first Muslim and first Indian-American mayor when he takes office January 1st. He rose from relatively obscure state lawmakers in Queens to a national progressive figure overnight, winning the mayoral race by nearly 9 points with promises of free city buses, services that will take care of the people, rent freezes, city-owned grocery stores, and expanded early childhood education. Of course, how he's going to pay for that, we'll see how Democratic Socialists actually work in proper actual cases for governing. His campaign centered on the idea that working class New Yorkers are being priced out of the city that they built, and that they talked about Trump proofing it from the rest of the world, which brought up hostile policies from the federals and hostile policies from Trump himself in the back and forth of the wordplay between the two. Now, for Trump, this meeting is being read as both a routine duty, because he does this, and a political calculation. After Republicans suffered losses in several recent state elections, the president has suddenly started talking more about affordability. It's in his platform. He's echoing language that was center to Mamdani's campaign and some other Democratic wins across the nation. Some analysts are saying that hosting Mamdani himself could help Trump be presented as a problem solver on economic anxiety, even while he continues to mock the mayor himself and repeating the misleading claims about his ideology. The White House visit also allows Trump to show he is doing an outreach to the city and to the leader, and he has often attacked, even though he's a New Yorker, without backing away from his base and the rhetoric that they throw out there. And then for Mamdani, his trip to Washington is basically stepping a fine line between confrontation and cooperation. On one hand, he won the office by promising to stand up to Trump and immigration and policing and civil rights, and his supporters see him as a clear opponent to the president's agenda. Meanwhile, New York City depends on about $7.4 billion a year in federal funding, and so he has to play nice to a point. And he said he's prepared to work with anyone, including the president, to make things happen. If it helps make the city safer and more affordable, then he will work with Donald Trump and the administration. As a result, many observers expect that the careful scripted meeting will focus on big themes like public safety and cost of living, rather than the dramatic breakthroughs and the yelling and screaming that tends to happen. Will we have a Zelensky moment? I'm pretty sure Mamdani is wearing a tie, so that will be a little lesser, but we'll see what happens going forward. Meetings, plannings, things are mixed. Both sides are kind of like, do we really want to do this? And do we really want to do this now? Aren't there other things to worry about? Didn't we just release the Epstein files? But it's going to happen. It's going to happen tomorrow because Trump's going to pull this Band-Aid off and get it taken care of as quickly as possible. Your thoughts on pros and cons? I have a long list of things to go on either side, but essentially the two dogs and cats are going to meet together and they're going to have some semblance of tea and try to be cordial or not. We never know how these things go. It's more or less like one of those wrestling contract signings where tables will be flipped at the end and somebody's going to get pile drived at the end of the segment. It always happens. It's just who exactly goes down and who's going to take the hit. Trump's probably not taking the hit, but he's probably not going to take it as a fairly good, swifty sort of way to come together as it will as well. And we know that Mamdani is not pulling any punches as he's speaking. We'll see what happens when he's on the turf of the White House and how cordial these things will be, because there's cordiality to a point. And then there's all the nasty things that'll be said in the think pieces afterwards. Because trust me, Saturday morning, we'll have a think piece too.